It's September 14, 2024, about 2:35 in the afternoon. I'm Todd Dunn, and today I'm aboard my Allied Princess 36 Sequester, and I'm getting ready to take the boat out for a short, light air, single-handed sail. Right now, the wind is east, which is on the nose here in the slip, and it should blow the boat straight back, although, if it picks up a little bit of a north component, could blow the bow toward the boat next to me, and that is a concern. Well, the reason is pretty simple. There is the power boat sitting 5.5 feet from me, so I do not want the bow to swing off to starboard toward that boat, and I will take precautions to avoid that. Okay, in preparation for taking the boat out single-handed, I have gotten everything ready to go. My electronics are on. I have singled up the lines on my winches, gotten everything untied and ready to use here and here, and let me hop up here again. I have uncovered the mizzen and put the halyard on, taken the sail ties off, so all I have to do is raise that sail once we get off the dock, and I can head the boat into the wind. So what's the next step? At this point, I am going to start the engine up. And before I do that, I will walk through how I'm going to take the boat off. Right now, the wind is on the nose, on the bow, and I need to back out of this slip. And as I showed you, there is a boat right beside me that I don't want the boat to swing into. So, and this sailboat in reverse will tend to prop walk the stern to port, which if I don't take care of that, will swing the bow toward the boat on my starboard side, and I do not want that to happen. So what have I done? Well, I have turned the helm a full turn to starboard. Now, that's not going to do much until I get moving in about 1.5 knots or so, but hopefully it will help to keep the boat going back straight. The other thing I'll do is I'm going to back out of here at idle, which will minimize the prop walk. And let's take a look at a couple of other things before we start the engine and actually get off this dock. Okay. Sequester is rigged with a bow line, a double spring that goes both ways from the midships cleat, and a stern line. What I'm going to do is untie the lines, and then I'm going to walk the boat back until my boarding gate is right here at the end of the dock. And when I'm ready to go, I am going to push the stern out and pull the bow in so that hopefully the boat will tend to track away from that boat and everything will be good. There's not a lot of wind in here, but if it gets on the bow, it could push the boat where I don't want it to go. So that's my main concern getting out. Okay, the other issue I have is, what about if a boat is coming in? Well, these big yachts here are going to make it impossible to see a small power boat coming in around the end of the marina. So what I'll do is I'll listen and see if I hear an engine. If I do, I'll wait. Similarly, over here, I have to worry about somebody deciding to go out over here, so I will look and make sure everything's okay. Now that blue boat over there, it's on the fuel dock and it just came in, so I suspect it will be there for a while. Okay, time to start the engine and get underway. Okay, the engine's running, so time to get going. Okay, we're off the dock and I'm swinging the boat. There we go. Now I will motor out. And she came off the dock pretty well, no issues. It's light air, even though the wind was slightly from the north. Didn't have any trouble. And we are going to be going straight into the wind as we head out here. So as soon as I get out so I can see past these big power boats, that's a Princess 85 and something much bigger behind it. As soon as I get out here a little, I will raise the mizzen. I'll have to put the camera down to do that. We are underway now. Here are the last few boats at the marina. 130 footer, about 150. It's about 100 footer here. And we will motor out. And the wind is on the nose. It's out of the east, which means that unless I want to do a lot of short tacking, I am not going to be able to sail out of the harbor. So I won't unroll the Genoa until we get some clear water and I can actually go someplace. It's light wind out of the south-southeast, so it's not going to be great sailing until we get out past the moored boats. And in fact, because of this wind direction, I am going to go through the Hinckley mooring field rather than around it, because I will be under power. And we're just running at idle, which is a little over 3 knots directly into the wind. Now, before we actually get out here and put the Genoa up, I want to say a couple things in general about single-handed sailing. The most important thing, if you're going to single-handed sail a boat, is to make sure that you know what you want to do in advance. Think things through so that you don't have surprises. One of the advantages of sailing a little bit bigger boat is that things happen a little more slowly than they do on a small boat. So this boat doesn't tack that fast. Things just don't move as fast because they're bigger. That has a downside in that the loads are much bigger, so you do not want to get caught on the wrong side of a line or something like that. So you want to think everything through before you do it. Now, in my case, I have been short-handed and single-handed sailing this boat for 29 seasons, so everything is kind of second nature for me. But if it's a new boat to you, you do want to make sure that you plan things out. So we'll go out here and get ready to set some sails and hopefully do a little sailing. As I said, right now we're straight into the wind, and I don't want to try to tack in here just because too many boats close together. And some of these boats out here are a little on the pricey side, like that 56-foot custom Hinckley right there. Wouldn't want to hit that. It's probably the better part of $750,000 worth of sailboat. And there's a Mason, probably a Mason 44. And Hinckley dock over there. No boats on it though. It is Saturday, which is a factor. And here we have another Hinckley. I think this one's a Hinckley 59. It's an older boat. Those are pretty old, the Hinckley 59s. So that's probably only a $500,000 boat. And over here we have a Hinckley Sou'wester 50. Probably a 70s vintage boat, like Sequester. Although it's been, as is the case with many Hinckley's, maintained in like new condition. So that one is probably about a $300,000 boat. Then there are a few little power boats like this Hinckley jet boat on the port side and another one on the starboard side. Those are somewhat newer, so those are, you know, $750,000 or more. So as I said, I don't want to try and short tack through here and bump into somebody. So we will head out until we get a little better wind, and then we'll set sail. Okay, as we go out, I should say that most of the boats here in this part of the mooring field have just come in and are waiting to be hauled out. That's a Hinckley Sou'wester 42. Back there, that little yawl is a Concordia yawl. So these boats are mostly waiting to be hauled out for the season, and probably Monday they'll be busy hauling boats. Yeah, very pretty day out here though. This is an MJM and a few other boats ahead. Okay, we're outside the mooring field, so what I'm going to do now is unroll the jib. And I'm going to fall off a little, so the wind will be on the port side. And the only trick here is to make sure there's some tension on the furling line, so it rolls up reasonably tightly as the sail unrolls. That'll prevent line jams in the furling drum when we go to furl up. Okay. So I still have a couple more lines to do. Over here I've got my furling line, which I'm going to put a couple turns on the furling winch in case I need it. Furl it in, and one turn of the lazy sheet, and we're underway. See if I can see the Windex. I'll point this guy up. Way up there on top of the mast, the Windex, we're almost close hauled. And we're currently sailing along at 3.2 knots. It's very light air. And we'll just continue out the way, this way a ways. Maybe tack and head back in because I don't have a lot of time today. Just enough for a short, say 5-mile sail. There's Greening Island. It's a beautiful sunny day today. East wind, so it's cool, probably 60 degrees out. But it's nice sailing weather. And as you can see, I do have my inflatable life vest on since I'm out here by myself. And we will just cruise along out here. And I think I need to sheet that jib in just a little. So, not much to that. These are electric winches, so I did it. So as I was saying, it's pretty easy to single-hand a boat like this because things don't happen fast. You just have to be aware that that's a 335 square foot Genoa, and that Genoa sheet there can easily have a ton of load, and I mean that literally, a couple thousand pounds. And that's a 1/2 inch double braid line, easily handle that, but you don't want to get on the wrong side of that line when it's loaded up. And a couple other boats sailing out here. When I came over, there was almost no wind outside the islands, so there's no point in going out that way. But it's light air sailing. We're making 2.5 knots right now, so we'll just continue out here a ways, and I'll tack the boat around and walk you through that. But as I said, when we unfurl the jib, the procedure is very simple. Get all my lines ready. On the working winch, I put a single turn on, and over here I take my furling line off the winch and just run it around the sheet winch, not around it, just lead it past it, and then as I unfurl the sail, I keep tension on that line so that the furling line will roll reasonably tightly onto the jib furler drum up there at the bow. The reason for that is simple. When I go to furl the sail, if there's much load on it and you have let the furling line roll loosely onto that drum, as soon as you start to pull it in, the line can bury in the loose line on the drum and jam. You don't want that to happen, and the solution to that is just keep a little tension on that furling line as you let the sail out. It looks like I need to, there we go. And we'll just clip along here for a little bit on this very light air day. We get out here a little further, we'll tack and sail a little bit south. Well, we were up almost to 4 knots, so we seem to be sailing out of the wind. So what I'm going to do is tack at Sutton Island and Great Cranberry and sail south for a while, just to hopefully not sail into a wind hole. All right, so I'm going to set up and tack. The procedure's pretty simple. I'm going to get the boat ready, which means I'll take my working winch here and I will take it out of the self-tailing jaw, and I will take up the lazy sheet, which is wrapped around the lazy winch, which is going to become the working winch, in my other hand, and we'll put the bow through the wind, and then I will cast off the port side and sheet in to starboard. It's pretty simple. I'm going to set the camera up so you can watch. Here we go. I've got clear water. No boats overtaking me. And I'll get that off the self-tailer. Relatively light so I can take it down. And now we'll put the bow through the wind. Like that. I'm going to let the sail push the bow through, and then cast off. And most of my sheeting without the winch. 3 turns on the winch and into the self-tailing job. Finish up. And that's all there is to a single-handed tack. Okay, now we're on the opposite tack. There's the starboard winch ready. And there's very little wind here. We're down to 1.2 knots. Hopefully the wind will pick up and I'll be able to get a little way on. Oh yeah, we can point up a bit and head south. But again, the key to a successful single-handed tack is to plan what you're going to do, so you know in advance what you will be doing, what lines you'll be dealing with, etc. Now that was a very light air tack, and hopefully the wind will pick up a little and we can get another tack in as we get out to the south a little. And actually, when we go out to the south, we may jibe around. We'll see. There'll be a downwind run back in. So, Sutton Island there. Bear Island with its lighthouse astern now. We were headed right for it. Okay, so this boat is set up to be easy to short-handed or single-handed sail. I don't have the mainsail on, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to go to the mast to do anything. The jib is on a roller furler, so it's easy to furl the jib and to shorten sail if I want, or to furl it up completely. And the mizzen sail here is controlled completely from the cockpit. So it's easy, everything is easy to do. And I have my chart plotter there, so I know where I am. Of course, on a clear day like this, I can use my eyes and see where I am. And I have my depth sounder there, which is also reading water temperature, 15 degrees Celsius, or about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So you don't want to fall in the water here. It is not warm. We're up to 2.1 knots now. That's speed over ground. I'm using the GPS on the chart plotter as a speed indicator, because years ago the paddle wheel for that speed and depth instrument died, and as a consequence I replaced it, but then the circuit in the instrument died and it was way beyond warranty, so we just use this as a depth sounder. And the chart plotter provides us with speed. It doesn't give us any current data, but it does give us an indication of how fast we're sailing. Yeah, there's another boat headed out over there. That looks like a Catalina. And as you can see, it's a nice light air sailing day here on the great harbor of Mount Desert Island, Maine. Well, it's continuing to be very light air. We're close hauled, making 1.8 knots over ground. And we're not the only boat that's not doing very well. This boat over here is just sort of drifting along. I don't know what they're trying to do. They might be trying to sail wing on wing, but they're not succeeding very well. And so it's pretty light air today. And unless you got a lot of sail up, you're not going to move very fast. So this is a very easy day to be out single-handing. Now, if it was blowing harder, well, I might want to roll up some Genoa just to make it easier to tack the sail. Not because this boat needs to have it rolled up that much. We can be out in almost 20 knots before I'll feel compelled to roll that Genoa up, especially without the main. And the new Genoa, that's a Raleigh Tasker Genoa, brand new this year, really makes a huge difference in heeling. I don't think we've had the boat over more than 20 degrees this year, and we have been out in some 20 to 25 knot winds with the full Genoa up, so it wasn't an issue. Yeah, this guy is just drifting along. I think that's a Shannon or a Sabre, I can't tell. No, it's a Sabre. He's just drifting along, not really any faster than we are. So, heavier air, you just have to be a little more careful with your lines. Make sure you don't get your hand on the wrong side of the line. And just, plan ahead. And this much wind, everything is going pretty well. I could probably sail pretty much without the winches. Yeah, there's only 100 pounds or so, maybe 200 on that jib sheet. So it's easy to sheet that in. Probably don't need the electric winches today. There's Little Cranberry Island in the distance over there. And another Friendship sloop. Actually, I don't know if that one's actually a Friendship sloop. It's a newer fiberglass boat, and it's a gaffer. It does sail with the Friendship sloops when they come here for their Friendship sloop races. But, it's quite different overall than most of the Friendships. So, but they do call it a Friendship sloop. Pretty much any gaff-rigged sloop around here gets called a Friendship sloop. Boy, it's really lightening up. 1.5 knots. So we'll just sail in this way, maybe tack again, and sail out a little, tack again, and head back. It's pleasant sailing, but not what I'd call exciting. Oh, 2.1 knots. I better think about rolling up a little Genoa to keep my speed and heel under control. We must be heeled 3 degrees. Alrighty, battery indicator just went to yellow, so I think I'm going to stop recording except for the final approach to the dock. Okay, it's my final approach to the dock. I'm in neutral now, going a little over 2 knots. We're going to come in, slightly bow in, and use prop walk to pull the stern in. Then I'll get off the boat, put the midships line on, and hire off the rest of the way. We're under 2 knots. Okay, that's that. We're tied up. I'll tighten up the bow line a little bit, but easy tie up, single-handed docking. Well, thanks for coming along. That was a simple hour-and-a-half single-handed sail, maybe an hour and 40 minutes. Covered a little over 5 miles, and a very light air. We never even hit 4 knots under sail. So pretty light air day, but easy leaving and easy single-handed docking on return. And all I have left to do is to go forward and tighten up that bow line a little bit. I didn't want to pull it in too much, because if I did give it a good yank, it would have swung the stern out. So I just tied it off enough and then went back and secured the stern line, and we'll go back and get that bow line later when I leave. Okay, we're off the boat after another afternoon sail on my Allied Princess 36 Sequester. Thanks for coming along.